I never imagined that I would be here talking about this, but today I'm sharing how I personally have activated my spiritual gifts and also how you can as well. If you've ever felt like you are on the edge of something much bigger in your life, but you don't quite know how to tap into it, you are not alone. That is exactly why I'm going to share today from my own personal experience and my own story to help you begin moving into your healing gifts, your authentic and unique healing gifts. My name is Derrick. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. If you resonate with a spiritual path of freedom and authenticity, staying true to yourself, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like, and feel free to share this video or any of my videos with any friends that would resonate with them, anyone who might benefit. And feel free to like the video or also please join the conversation in the comments if anything comes through for you as I'm sharing my story with this. So let's get right into this. So if you know my story, you know that my path before beginning to spiritually awaken was a very turbulent path. Emotionally, I was on a roller coaster. I was left with the carnage of my past and trauma from my childhood growing up, which left a hole in my soul. At age 21, I was already a full-blown alcoholic and drug addict. I had debilitating OCD and I just didn't want to live. If you want to hear more about that backstory, check out my video where I share my journey. Um, it's like probably 3 videos ago or so. And so this had all led me to think that I was just stuck in this wretched cycle, that I was stuck in this rotted state of being. And I really felt hopeless at that time. I felt like there was nothing that I could do. There's nothing I could actually do about it, that this was just fate. And I felt like good things were for everyone else, but not for me. That is how broken down I was spiritually, emotionally, and also physically as well, because of the physical degradation that happened through my alcohol and drug addiction. But that was a byproduct of that deeper hole in the soul. I actually thought if I was lucky, then I could somehow just get rid of some of the symptoms a little bit and keep the symptoms at bay and just live a mundane life. And that was the best I was going to get. I really thought that at that time. The key moment that I was really able to recognize the awareness of my deeper gifts. Thinking about that, when I was growing up, I always felt like I had a sixth sense compared to other people, compared to others around me, even my family. I remember when I was growing up, I would know things. I would just intrinsically know something, and I would know things that adults didn't want me to know. And they would be like, how do you know that? And I would say, I don't know. I just know, right? It's just a being really sure about something, that type of feeling. And as many people are in our American culture, I was actively discouraged from trusting my spiritual gifts. I saw my deepest awareness more as a burden than a gift. I didn't see it through that lens of gratitude at time. I just thought I'm not like everyone else, and I just had this depth of desire to just fit in at that point. I just wanted to be normal. I didn't want to have a special gift or know more or feel in a more intense way than others. So that was much a survival mechanism as anything. It was, I thought that fitting in would help me to survive because if I stood out, then that made me a vulnerable target. I first became aware of my deeper spiritual gifts and my ability to heal and to be there for others. I started really becoming aware of this when I entered the world of 12-step recovery years back. I would go to these 12-step programs to recover from addiction. And that was the first time that I really truly had this sense of having an experience, even as ugly as it was, that I could take that and use it as fuel to help others. So that was the first time I really got that sense. I saw how I was able to help other people who are going through the same things that I had went through. The people I was really able to help quite a few people, even while I was still struggling, like I was able to light the path for a few other people and become a big part of their healing and recovery journey. That was huge for me, and it just felt so good and so natural to me to use anything in my power to help others. It was like becoming familiar with that part of me that was able to help others. In 12-step circles, they often say you keep what you have by giving it away. And so I did. That helped me awaken to my spiritual gifts more and more by putting all of my knowledge and experience into practice by helping other people. So later, as my path turned more spiritual, I applied all of this same wisdom to the metaphysical healing that I had started to do and the reading techniques that I was starting to get into. I knew that I had to keep working with all of these gifts and keep helping people in order to keep me in a good place. Because I knew if I was helping other people, that would help me to get out of my own head, which is that dangerous neighborhood, you know. There's that saying that you're being alone in your head is the most dangerous neighborhood. That's definitely resonates with me. And I see now how that way of being really saved me in so many ways. It really saved my life because it gave me something to hold on to and something to get out of my own brain and into action, into helping others out of that catastrophic thinking of thinking of what bad things could happen. It gave me something real to work with. And I thought it was just a coincidence. But looking back, this was the universe really speaking directly to me, saying, this is your path. So I started getting really, really good at completely being able to see the energy of someone's life and the situations. in their life and just knowing what could help them at that point in their journey to help them get back to a good place. At the time, I was skeptical myself. I thought that it almost seemed like luck, like, well, I just guessed really good, right? But people kept telling me, wow, no one has ever put it quite that way to me, or no one has helped me in that way. And so then, as I helped more and more people just in the world of recovery, I started feeling stronger in my own innate healing gifts. At the time, I had a really hard time accepting compliments and praise at the time because I had a lot of old programming in there of low self-worth from trauma. So it was hard for me to actually really believe in myself and believe in my gifts at that time. And it was hard for me to see the value in me that other people saw so clearly, apparently. Um, so unlocking my gifts was also a lot of deepening self-awareness, and meditation was that path for myself. So when I first went into the world of 12-step recovery, pretty soon after that, I began congregating around a bunch of Buddhists and a group of Buddhist meditators that lived here in the town I live in, Fort Collins, Colorado. These people taught me how to meditate from nothing. I had no clue how to meditate. Like, I always intrinsically knew that I knew how to meditate, but I had never actually given it a whack until then. This was probably back in 2012-ish. And so I started meditating. They taught me how to meditate. I took to it very quickly. I started feeling relief very quickly. I started meditating for many hours in a day to really help me at that time to escape from my reality. Like, it was an escape mechanism at that time. I knew that if I was meditating, I could find some semblance of peace. I hated the quote, real world. As I continued on this path and I continued meditating every day, I took to it in a quite extreme way personally, which you don't have to do it in this extreme of a way. I just am a very extreme person. I began to meditate for up to 8, 12 hours a day. On my days off, I would meditate the whole entire day if I wasn't working and just take little breaks in between meditation to do my laundry or cook a meal up or do chores, but I would meditate for like 30 minutes, go do something, meditate. But my whole day was spent meditating if I wasn't working. And if I was working, then I would meditate the whole morning or the whole evening that I didn't have to work. So that's how I began to build self-awareness. I began to build self-awareness that was such a great start for me. I couldn't have even thought up a better way to build self-awareness. I began noticing that things were getting much quieter inside. I had clarity on some things for the first time ever. I realized that I do have the power to quiet my mind. And I have thought a lot about this. I know I wouldn't be where I am today had I not had this initial period of insight meditation. I practice Vipassana, that is insight meditation. That's the original Buddhist meditation. I went to a 10-day Vipassana retreat in my 20s. And if you want to meet pieces of yourself that you didn't know existed, go to a 10-day Vipassana sit and you will meet them. I began meditating in a group on Thursday nights, 6:30 somewhere. Um, and my personal practice was very strong. I never missed a day. And meditation is something that to this day, it's a habit that I have not stopped since. And it has served me in the most beautiful and incredible ways. At first, it was very drastic. And now I have momentum, I have balance from practicing daily for so long. You can as well. I continued meditating, I continued healing myself and really having the strong desire to really heal to my depths. I continued this path of exploration. I went to school to be an addiction counselor in my 20s and I majored in psychology in college. But then I realized I don't really want to do this. I realized there was so much more and deeper ways that I wanted to help people. My gifts were developing and activating at this time. They were activating the entire time. My gifts have always been developing. Your gifts are already developing. Your gifts are already activating. Even if you're not consciously trying to do that or consciously aware of that, if you're watching videos like this, if you're studying this type of thing, I guarantee you're already developing and activating your gifts. But at this point, I still didn't have a lot of awareness around my gifts. I didn't have the confidence to be open with the world and others about my gifts. It just felt like being naked. I was worried about what other people would think. I was worried about that I wouldn't fit in. And at that time, that was just where I was at. So after realizing that traditional therapy and addiction counseling was a no-go for me, just continuing my personal healing journey also with that, and my career path, both of those kind of intersected and led me to the modality of spiritual hypnotherapy, which there's many angles to that. But it led me to work with a more spiritual therapist that opened that pathway for me. My therapist introduced me to a quantum hypnotherapy and healing path, and I began truly deeply healing for the first time ever. I started feeling relief for the first time ever. This led me to feeling inspired to study and do this work myself. So it wasn't long until I found my teacher who her school is now retired. Um, and I began getting introduced to the world of alchemical and transpersonal hypnotherapies, quantum healing, energy healing. It was a whole new world for me. Working in the trance state was a whole new world for me. Even though I had that meditation experience, this was brand new. I started really understanding on a deep level how to heal, like the processes for healing, the components of healing, what to dig for, what to fish for to find the juice in it. So I began working with myself with these techniques first and just learning myself. And help applying it to things that I personally needed to heal. That's why I'm so passionate about this work today and teaching hypnotherapy in a spiritual lens today is because it meant the world to me at that time to be able to make sense of things that had been puzzling me and plaguing me for years. Once I began working in these deep trance states myself and working with clients, it was so clear. I had clarity. I had clear, actionable ways to communicate psychically in the causal realm. I had clear, actionable ways to heal trauma, to reframe situations, and start looking at them in a whole new way. I started getting connected to my guides and remote viewing. I realized once I learned the actual frameworks and protocols for healing and hypnotherapy, I realized I was, in fact, a natural. I was, in fact, highly gifted. This gave me processes to really prove this to myself at that time, if nothing else. I was proving it to me. After working in these deep psychic trance states, that led my journey to blossom into Reiki healing. I learned pranic healing. I learned quantum regression therapy. I learned more advanced energy healing techniques. I started becoming an energy freak. Once I began working with energy, all bets were off. The ceiling blew off and I was off. I was doing what I was meant to do, and I've done it ever since. My old way of being was to really control outcomes, like back pre-healing, because that control felt safe to me. I felt like if I can control it, I am safe. I didn't realize until I started doing so much energy healing and hypnotherapy and healing work that that control is actually what had held me back for so long. I know I couldn't have thought up the journey that I've been on. My brain couldn't have possibly planned this out or produced the journey I went on any better. Like, this is divinely aligned. I know that my path was heavily divinely aligned. Although I didn't do it on purpose, my journey unfolded in such a way just that it taught me how to truly let go. It taught me how to enter states of communion with the divine. It showed me how to enter that divine flow and then how I could just be non-resistant and let that flow carry me. That's the biggest, hugest piece of healing for myself personally is like learning how to lean back and be part of that flow. So once I stopped forcing things in my life and started allowing, everything began to shift. Everything began to flow. Doors opened. I met people that lit lamps for me. I started getting my hands dirty and hanging out with people who lived and breathed energy healing and hypnotherapy and psychic gifts. I was taught true divine connection from my guides on my journey, my higher self. Once I began being a practitioner, I really was at this beautiful, sweet spot of surrender. I learned how to let go of who I was as a person to fully facilitate for my clients. I learned how to be an empty conduit for them to find their own answers. I had a few very profound experiences and sessions early on too, with clients that were beyond what I even thought was remotely possible. Once I began doing the Reiki, my intuitive gifts got even sharper, even more sensitive. I could just feel where my hands were being led to go. I could just feel how energy was moving. The more I practiced, the clearer I got, the more space I created, the more subtle of energies I could sense. I would have these telepathic knowings of what someone was thinking, and the next moment they would just blurt it out. Um, if a client had pain somewhere in their body, that part of my body would flash or light up, or I would feel a throbbing or poking or needling or whatever it was sensation in my body. I became more in touch with my spirit team, my guides, and I had clear images and messages from them. I learned how to follow my subtle synchronicities that were happening in my life to lead me to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's like if I needed a tidbit of knowledge or wisdom about something that came up in my journey, then a book or a teacher would just fall in my lap. I started getting psychic impressions and images of things that perfectly related to my path or my client's path at the perfect time. Of course, this just continues to get sharper and sharper the more I go on this journey of healing and transformation, the more these things just get more and more beautiful and more synchronous. And so, like I said, I had so much societal conditioning at that time and early life conditioning that really made me have to unlearn a lot of things that within me that were resistant to me having gifts, or the parts of me that tried to hold me back or tell me I didn't have gifts or I shouldn't follow my intuition or that I should fit in a certain box. I was, of course, afraid of what others would think about my gifts. That was huge for me. I thought, who am I to come out with these gifts? What makes me so special that I'm gifted? I feared what others would say to me about that, or what others would say about me behind my back if I embraced my gifts. At that time, I hadn't yet opened to like seeing the big picture of why this work is so freaking important. I worried that I would be rejected or outcasted or made fun of, right? I feared that I wasn't being realistic, or I feared that I was just making stuff up in my head. How do I know this is really coming from spirit and not just, what my head is producing? There was a transition period, I remember, that is not so cut and dry between starting to notice my gifts and fully trusting that. I couldn't tell you the exact day that, oh, I trust my gifts now. It was a very subtle unfolding process, but commitment and focus helped me to stay on that subtle path. I grew up in a culture that valued book smarts, not spiritual or emotional intelligence. So I want to offer you today some actionable advice for activating your own spiritual gifts. It starts with your own inner world. You have to do this work to do this work. The first thing I would suggest is committing to a daily meditation practice. Now, uh, or a grounding practice. You can look up Vipassana meditation. That's what I personally did. Zazen meditation, mantra meditation. It really doesn't matter what kind you choose, whatever resonates with you. My advice and encouragement here is don't dig a million shallow holes. Dig one deep hole. So, what I mean by that is master the kind of meditation that you commit to doing. Show up for that every day and keep digging deeper that one path. Because if you try 80 different meditations, you're just going to dig 80 shallow holes instead of one big hole with depth, right? So this means, maybe one day you can only fit in 1 minute of meditation. Some days you can maybe do 30 or 40, but start getting in the habit of showing up for yourself every single day and committing to daily practice. Tell yourself it's okay if I can only do 1 minute today. I still showed up for me. I still built trust within myself. I meditated. Maybe tomorrow I'll have time to do more. But do it daily. Start committing to this. That is a must. And it's going to look different for everyone, but you need to commit to your practice, whatever that is. This is going to help you begin clearing more space out inside to make room for messages, psychic impressions. It will more intimately connect you with your own intuition. Absolutely. You obviously don't have to meditate for 12 hours a day like I did, but get into your daily practice. Learn to trust yourself and show up for yourself on the daily. Learn to be the observer. Remember that the point of meditation is not to stop thought. The brain thinks, the lungs breathe, the heart beats. You're gonna have thoughts, but rather just to give you more space between those thoughts. So you're stepping into the observer role. Start The next thing is start journaling free flow consciousness. So just start writing. Get a journal, start committing to writing in it every day, no matter what it is that you want to write in there. Don't make a goal that it has to be any specific thing, or that it has to be any certain way. Just write. Just start moving energy in this way. Journaling is a huge way to move energy, to move consciousness, to gain insight. Write about your day, write about what you want to create, write about the joy you have in your life, right? Your gratitude, your intuitive messages. But start getting in the habit of just writing consciousness out every day. Realize that the point here is just to get in the habit of flowing consciousness, just for the sole point of doing that, opening that inner tap, and letting that liquid flow through. Keep track of the messages that you do. You can also do a Q&A journaling process. And so you would write Q, Then write your question that you have for your spirit team. Then write A, and you can start by just writing out, what do you think your guides would have you do? And just write it out. Let it flow. Don't judge it. Just write it. And it's gonna take practice. So the first time it's gonna feel really awkward, really like unnatural. But the more you do it, then you are going to feel more and more authentic with it. And you're going to be able to feel from where inside that guidance comes from. That's why it's important, okay? This is just for you. No one else is going to see it. So just have fun with it. Just do it. This also builds trust with you because you see yourself day after day completing something, even if some days you won't want to do it, but you do it anyway. That's important. Stay in integrity with yourself. Create a lot of sacred space for your spiritual connection, whatever that looks like for you. Meditation, energy healing, exercise can even be a part of it. Yoga. If you truly want to grow in your gifts, it's important to have the wherewithal to make this a big priority in your life. Make this something that you do that is important to you and you know you like doing. Your spirit teams knows you deep down. Your spirit team knows your true intentions. So have integrity with yourself and with your guides to truly invest yourself in developing your healing gifts. Just like anything else, it requires an investment. Show the universe that you're serious. Take courses about it. Read books about it. Invest your time practicing. Invest your energy practicing. Invest your money. Anything that you can invest into that is going to serve you because it shows the universe, I am serious about this. There's many angles to this. And there's as many ways to do this as there are people. Join communities, be transparent about where you're at, be transparent and vulnerable, even about what you're struggling with, what you want to accomplish once you have developed these gifts to a certain point. What do those milestones look like? And listen to your own inner guidance without judgment. One of the biggest points that I want to drive home here is just that you already are spiritually gifted. 100%. You already have spiritual gifts. Everyone does. You are already getting so many intuitive messages and guidances on a daily basis. So really, this is more about quieting down and clearing out the noise than it is about creating anything because that is already you. So it's more about clearing that noise out than creating something because it's already created. That's already you. It already is who you are. Start really noticing how you already are being guided and how you are have been guided up to this point. Is there a certain sensation or is there a synchronicity that you start noticing? Are your guides showing you something by putting it on a billboard or on a license plate? Or are your guides putting something in your path over and over again? Or do you keep just feeling a magnetic pull towards something? All of that is ways your guidance can work. So there truly is great beauty in embracing your spiritual gifts fully. Activating these gifts is not just about intuition or energy. It's about becoming your most authentic self. It's about being in the highest state of alignment. I really just want to give you some encouragement to trust your journey and acknowledge that you personally have unique healing gifts. They just need to be developed. Thank you so much for being here today, my friend. And I so appreciate your presence, and I hope this is helpful in you getting to where you want to be with your gifts. And you totally got this. You can do this. I believe in you. A great way to begin developing your gifts is to join us in our 6-month quantum shift training. This is a 6-month comprehensive program that helps you become a facilitator in quantum hypnosis and healing. This is truly such a beautiful path for opening to your gifts and helping you build your own practices out in an authentic way to you, in a way that creates freedom in your life and in the life of your clients. The program really is only for those, though, that are truly deeply committed to a deeper healing and seeing how far they can take this. It is not for those who are still have reservations or resistance to deeper healing. So you really have to want this with all fibers of your being for this to be a good fit for you. You have to really want to develop and really want to learn everything there is to know about it, because this is a lot of information. It's not a really like light casual course. It's college material, plain and simple. You're going to learn a lot of core competencies that therapists learn in their practice and learn how to apply that with energy. You will have support from quantum shift hypnotherapists and intuitives all over the planet. We have people in Australia, we have people in Canada, we have people in the UK, as well as you and I will work together for 6 months one-on-one to develop your skills and address the skills in a way that helps you personally. You get lifetime access to the course materials, the protocols, the manuals, and the playbooks, as well as you have full access to our weekly group calls even after you get your diploma. This program will teach you the ins and outs, the hows and whys, and you will have practice sessions. You will experience the work both as a client and as the therapist, as well as you will get to unlock your own unique, authentic healing gifts with much confidence because it comes from the deepest place inside. Contact me on my website at www.dgtwellness.com. That link is in the description as well if you want to explore this more. As always, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate your presence, your energy, your time, your attention. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe if you feel aligned with my energy. And I share at least one time a week, 1 to 3 times a week on hypnotherapy, intuitive healing, and psychic development and energy topics, things of that nature. Blessed be, and we'll talk soon. Bye.